Alright, the first thing I do whenever I get in a new accessory is to super glue stuff. So pop out the little bolt. Those things always seem to fall out at the worst times, or you'll lose them. And I put a dab of super glue, I like the gel, around the inside of these. Put it in place nice and tight. That's a bit crooked. There we go. I shove it down so it's in there, and then let that sit. You don't want to put too much in there because you can wind up getting some of the threads, and that's a real mess. And there's also complaints that these tend to come out too. The screws tend to come out of the handles. So I also super glue those in place. The newer ones, you can tell, are in there pretty well. The older ones, that was a complaint. So I always, just to play it safe, do the same thing. I put a line of super glue gel just along the inside there. Can hurt, could help, especially if you're doing a shoot where you have a lot of vibration. To get this thing out, all you do is put in the handle and just push, and it'll pop the bolt right out. Normally. Oh. That's too short. There we go. There. Pops right out. These do come in different lengths, the screws, if you notice. That's about a 1/8 of an inch difference. So what I'll do too is take some paint or something and mark up the handles. This is the longer handle that's used to mount the actual camera to the accessories, and this is the shorter one that's used to hold everything together, your arms and so on. So I'm just going to keep on super gluing here. And if you do happen to get some on your fingers and make a mess, keep acetone handy. Cleans up super glue really fast and easy. Okay, if you're working, or shooting I should say, in an area with a lot of vibration, or on a go-kart or a vehicle, super glue may after a while come loose on these fittings. So in that case, you can epoxy fill the thing. So I'll mix up some epoxy. Any will work. This is the 5-minute setting stuff, so you don't have to wait all day while it sets. And just kind of take it and force it down in there. And then grab a paper towel and kind of wipe off the excess, only so the job is kind of clean. You don't want to have all this excess gunk on the outside of the handle if you can avoid it. Not that it matters, it's just cosmetic. And kind of stand it up somehow so it won't fall over. You can use anything. I'll lean it against the inside of this duct tape roll. Just to get them out of the way on the bench, I have a piece of pegboard here on the back of my workbench, so I took out some screwdrivers and just mounted them in the pegboard holders so the handles can dry in there off the bench so I can do some more work. Okay, while those are drying, I want to show you some of the do-it-yourself things I made for the GoPro, the Hero. This is just a large clamp. You can buy them for a couple dollars. You can get different sizes. I mounted a piece of straight iron on here. This is a mending plate, they call it, and it just slides out. You can put it at different angles, and at the end of this right here is a 1/4 20 bolt, which you use to attach the GoPro tripod mount to. So that goes on here, and now you have an instant clamp mount. You can put this on the side of a gutter or back of a chair or wherever you want. I mean, of course, it's not going to be good for anywhere that's got a lot of vibration or speed, but for clamping at the sides of fences and different things, it's great. Then I also have a few other things that I've made up here. I keep it all in this little bag. This is one of my favorite ones. This is just a piece of L bracket I had lying around. I put Velcro on one side, drilled an extra hole in here, and what I do is, this is an external power supply. You put in 4 AA batteries, rechargeable or otherwise. I use rechargeable because this will also charge from a USB port. Then what you do is, you take this and I'll screw this to a stage, for example, during a show. They'll normally let me. Mount that to there, and then I take the bottom, that USB cable, and I plug it into here, and then I run that to the side of the camera, and this will power the camera for an extra 8 hours. So if I want to do a really long time lapse, for example, this will let me shoot around 10,000 pictures without the battery ever going dead. Great, handy, and I actually made this from scrap I'd laying around the house. This thing was about 20 bucks on eBay. I'm sorry, Amazon. And that's just the flat adhesive mount. Another one that's really handy, this is a magnet. You can buy the magnet for, this is plate here with a hole in it, for around $3 or $4, or you can buy it with a clamp ray on and take out the clamp. I riveted this in using a heavy duty rivet. You can also use nuts and bolts. And then the same thing, this is a 1/4 and this also uses the tripod mount, and now I can stick that to the side of any metal surface. It works great. I mean, wouldn't be too good for a screwdriver to mount to, but this is probably one of the best accessories that you can get with the GoPro, because you can use all your standard stuff with it, and anything you put a 1/4 screw on, you can mount. This is an egg timer that I modified, and this just goes on here, and now you've got a rotating panoramic base for your GoPro. There's plenty of videos on YouTube on how to make these yourself. Then also in the bag I keep a couple small clamps so I can attach my stuff to different things, some Velcro bands, and of course tie straps. Plenty of tie straps. And then I can put this camera pretty much anywhere in any situation. I mean, I can mount it to the side of a stage, I can mount it to a pole, I can use a magnetic mount and stick it on something else, and you can get some really interesting and unique shots. This is probably my favorite modification I've done so far. This is a skeleton housing, and what I wanted was a way to be able to put a USB cable in the side but keep the camera still pretty weather resistant. Had I to do this over again, I would probably buy a second regular housing and just drill a large hole in the side, because for the price is about the same. But what this does, this is this Gorilla duct tape, and I covered all the openings up with the duct tape and then cut pieces out and put it on the inside also so it's not sticky. And what this does, it keeps out rain and snow. My main thing was snow. I want to shoot time lapse on the ski hill for several hours. So drop the camera in, clamp it, and one thing you should keep in mind here, you should always take the back door, push it closed as far as you can, and then engage the clamp. Don't use the clamp to pull the door closed because you can wind up damaging things. And you see the side here, I just cut some holes in the duct tape, and now that USB cable slides right in there, and I have power for an extra 8 hours. And next, a quick way of marking your camera mounting screws. I'll put some red nail polish on the inside here. These are ones that I've epoxied, so you can see it pretty easily. This middle one I just super glue the screw in, so it's not quite as visible. So I'll put some dabs of it in there, and then wait till this dries, and then once it dries, I'll put a clear coat over it. So what I'm going to do is put these in my little holders up here temporarily, and then once it's dry, we'll clear coat them, and I have a quick visual reference of which of these are for the accessories and which of these hold the camera in place. And as we can see, we have a nice red coating, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a clear coat. This is also nail polish, obviously, so that's going to last forever and a day. Clean it up a little bit. Got to dry.